Welcome to episode 2 of our podcast.
Episode 2. Nice. It's good to see you. We obviously went for a walk/run, Wim Hof this morning, but we didn't talk too much about Bali because we wanted to save it for the episode. So, can we start there? Can I ask you about your trip? Well, walk me through day one.
Day one.
Get to the airport.
Get on the flight. Met a lovely girl next to us.
Ooh.
Who was like a handstand instructor, and she's just like a beast at doing handstands, and so it made the trip a little bit easier. But started going south straight away from when we got there actually.
Right. So what happened?
We didn't want, because like as soon as you get to Bali airport, you've got everyone and anyone taxi, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you need taxi, you know, people like in your face, and we knew that they were going to try and get people for, you know, more money than what was actually worth. And we knew that we wanted to get our scooters like in the area, because a lot of the scooter rental places are in that area. And so we just started walking north to like where our first hotel was, in that we knew that we'd be passing scooter rental places along the way. But we had all of our gear on. So I had my hiking backpack on. I then had my like massive like military backpack on my front. Yeah. So we're carrying like an extra 20 kilos of weight. And we started walking.
How long was the walk?
Well, we were like, all right, there's a scooter rental place here. Let's go there. We get there. And we're like walking through back streets of like the middle of the midday sun in Kuta, which is like a pretty like grimy area of Bali. Yeah. And like our trip almost went fucked instantly, because like they have these drainage like grate things made of concrete, but they are not safe. Like you could step on it and fall right through. And I stepped on one and it like crunched a little bit. And then like we went another 10 meters after that experience, and we saw how far down the actual drop was. And it was like a good like 5 meters. Like this drain was probably about, you know, half a meter by half a meter. And I would have fucked myself up if I had fallen through. And so it was like, whoa, like, you know, it was our first experience. Like,
so you kind of like stepped on it, you're like, oh shit, but you didn't actually fall.
Yeah, I didn't fall through that one, but we had seen ones that were like genuine holes. And so from that point on, we just did not trust any of them. And you find, for some reason, these like drainage concrete things all over on the footpaths. And footpaths are seldom.
Why do you think that is, do you know?
It must be the irrigation sewerage system, that if they need to get inside, that's how they get in. And so that was like our first experience of realizing like, whoa, like we ain't in Kansas anymore.
You're in a different place.
Yeah. And so we started walking, man, and like we were probably walking for about half an hour, because the first rental place we thought we would be able to find just wasn't it. And we're getting like, you know, we're getting tired, to the point where I was like, oh my God, I did not expect this to start like this. Like it got to the point where we were like, we couldn't find anyone to get us a taxi. We didn't want to keep moving, but we knew we couldn't stop. And so we're just in this like horrible feeling, and you don't know where you are, it's new territory. Yeah. And we just had the maps of which direction our hotel was, and we're like, you know, look, hopefully we'll just keep walking, and hopefully we can find a taxi to take us to our hotel. Like we were going to get a scooter, and then we're like, all right, fuck it, we're just going to go straight to our hotel and sort everything out after that. At least we can relax a bit and whatnot. Yeah. But then we ended up coming across a scooter rental place, and I'm up to Steven, like, oh, you know, should we really go to the first place we see? And we're like, you know, what other choice do we have? Blah, blah, blah. And we're getting desperate. We're tired. Yeah. And we got our scooters from these guys. And
why didn't you? Is like, do you keep the scooter for a while? That's why you didn't want to commit to the first one.
Yeah, because we were planning to bring our scooter like everywhere we went.
Yeah, right.
For the 21 days that we were there.
Oh, okay.
Whereas like a lot of people would maybe rent it for the 5 days that they might be staying in one area and then getting a taxi to the next area.
Yeah. So you didn't want to buy a shit one or rent a shit one.
Yeah. But granted, we ended up getting really good scooters. They served us really well, you know, because we started realizing that there were a lot worse scooters than what we had.
And how much was it for a scooter?
We ended up paying $230 for 21 days.
That's pretty cheap for 3 weeks.
Yeah, but I knew I could have come down further. So we stayed in Seminyak for our first 5 days, and that's like the party, like food capital. Yeah. Of Bali.
And they got a lot of nightlife there as
well. A lot of nightlife, a lot of good food.
Yeah.
The beach there was a little bit underwhelming, and like...
really? In what way?
Like Australian beaches were better than this beach.
Australia's the best beaches in the world.
Yeah,
though,
we do have good beaches.
Yeah.
But and another thing, we didn't really want to go into the water because like you would walk maybe every 500 meters, like half a kilometer. You'd see where all the sewage and drainage would just go right onto the beach, right into the water, and you could smell that smell.
Right.
Yeah, and that was really off-putting.
Yeah.
So we're like, this ain't really.
So you don't really go swimming there or anything.
Well, people were surfing and whatnot, but it just wasn't that beautiful. And so we did walk along the beach because like we literally got there. We were like, all right, relax a bit, and then like, let's go for a walk on the beach because we were so close to the beach.
Yeah. And this is the first day or first night?
Yeah, first day.
Yeah.
And so we did some other things in that area. We went to a local like market, and this market man was pretty intense in the sense
good
that
salesman.
No, they weren't very good salespeople.
Very pushy.
Yeah, very pushy. But like we were going to one of these markets that I thought was like maybe a touristy market. It was not a touristy market, bro. It was a 5-story car park, like massive 5-story car park.
Yeah.
That was a labyrinth of people selling their trinkets, their food. Everything. The first floor had all the food shit.
Yeah.
Me and Steve were finding it hard to walk through the area because it was like, the smell. We're seeing like, just fish, just hanging out.
Yeah.
All different types of food. And then we went upstairs and, and it was our first like experience of gauging like how much things cost, what people are going to try and sell us things for. And like this guy, I just like looked at this turtle and he's like, you want? No, you buy cheap.
Yeah.
Good luck, you know. For you, my friend, blah, blah, blah.
It reminds me, we had the exact same thing when we went on our cruise and we went to Port Island or something.
Right.
Something like that. It's some little island. And yeah, as soon as you rock up, all the sales guys with taxis, like, and in your face, like, we had one guy who was like, you come with me now. And we're like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's kind of the same culture.
Yeah, a lot of that. And like, there was this turtle and I was like trying to like learn, all right, how much are these things actually worth? Like, what are these people willing to pay? And so I was like, I thought I was insulting him. I was like, 5,000, which is like, 50 cents for like this like cool looking like turtle figure. He's like, yo. I'm like, and I didn't even want it. And I was like, well, shit, now I have to get it. Because like, it's really
Once
bad.
you say yes.
Yeah, it's really bad ethic to like say the price. And if they say yes, then like, no. Because then it defeats the whole purpose of bartering.
Yeah. That's cool. We have the same thing in Hong Kong as well. I haven't been recently, but when we went a few years back, my dad did all the bargaining for us.
Right.
And same thing, like, this price, he'd be like, nah, I'll do it for this, but that's about it. And like, no. And then he'd start walking away.
Yeah, it's when you walk away.
And as he walked away, she's like, okay.
Yeah, it's when you walk away that they go, oh shit, like he's about to walk away.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And like, me and Steven are the perfect people because we do not get pushed around. Like, we don't not give a fuck. Like, we did towards the end of our trip in the last place we stayed in Uluwatu, we did this $170 package. Amazing package, man. We got a banana boat ride, the shittest part of the whole thing. It was a huge letdown. Yeah. Jet ski ride, parasailing, free lunch, luwak coffee tasting, which is like the animal where they eat the coffee beans and they shit them out. And then
I've heard about that. Apparently it tastes really good though.
Yeah, I tried it.
It's like actually really sweet, almost.
To me, it was just like a stronger tasting coffee that wasn't bitter.
Okay.
So it's like, usually you have a strong coffee, it tastes bitter.
Could you have it straight though and it would taste like decent?
Yeah, we had black coffee.
Yeah,
like
right.
Black, and it tasted just like a normal coffee except stronger and not bitter.
Yeah.
Smooth.
I'd love to try that. With a bit of milk and...
We didn't have it with milk.
No, but I reckon it'd be good though.
Yeah. Well, it was really cool. They had like 15 to 20 different teas and coffees. Everything from like mangosteen, which is like a type of fruit, which is like the tea that I like the most. I ended up bringing some back. They had avocado coffee, coconut coffee. They had, you name it, and it was just really good. But so we did the luwak coffee tasting, and they took us through the plantation, and then after that we got to see the Ketchak fire dance.
Yeah, I saw that on your story.
Yeah. Really?
I think you did, or maybe Steven. Might have been
Steven.
Yeah.
I got pulled into the dance, man. So we're like at this like auditorium that had 400 people in this grandstand, and I was at the front row, and this man comes to shake my hand, and he pulls me up, man, and then I start mimicking the dancing, and everyone's like, woo, dude, it was an experience.
Yeah,
I'll show you after, but
that's cool.
Yeah, the banana boat ride. Like,
so that's first night still? Or
no,
second
this
night?
so this day package we did was like 3 to 4 days before we came home.
Yeah.
The reason why I bring it up is because like me and Steven, we're not people to like let people,
walk all over you.
Yeah, and so we did this banana boat ride, and I shit you not, the outboard motor was like as strong as a fucking turtle.
The motor
of this boat that was pulling us on the banana boat, and it was like he went up one way for like 3 minutes. Like literally, we leave this like little harbour area where they have all the water sport activities. We go up, and like it's like, I purposely started like doing this to like visibly let them know that this is boring as shit.
Yeah.
And they come back and they just like then drop us off. And me and Simon were like, are you fucking serious? Like we got to them and we said to them in English, like to all these Indonesian men that were the ones that were kind of organising all that. We said that was shit. Like I was like that are you serious?
Was there any scenery or anything though? As you were on the boat?
Not
Did they
really.
say like, we got this thing?
No,
this.
It was supposed to be more of like an adrenaline sport, but it wasn't adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like we were going like 10 to 20 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
It was pathetic, and like we let them know, and they were a little bit like flabbergasted that we said to them like that was shit. Like we were getting like raised. I was like that was fucking.
Sounds kind of mean almost. But I guess it was that.
Well, because that's the thing. They walk over everyone else, and most of the time, foreigners aren't going to say anything because they're scared. They don't stand up for themselves. And we're like, that was supposed to be 15 minutes at least, and you gave us like 5 minutes.
What they say?
And they're like, oh, you'll go again. We're like, we don't want to go again. Like that was horrible. Like don't advertise that it's this like banana boat experience if you're going to do that to us. And they're like, oh, so you want to go again? Like we don't want to do it again. that was boring.
So what was it advertised as? They said like what did they say it would be?
It's a banana boat ride, but
I don't know what that is though.
It's it's like imagine like a little sausage, like a hot dog, where it's like you sit on top of the hot dog on the actual sausage part, and it's just an inflatable thing you hold on, and like they're supposed to go very fast. Like my dad did it when he went to Bali like 20 years ago, and when he did it, like they
So you're in the water hanging onto this, right?
You're on an inflatable.
Yeah.
Like you've got your legs on the side of it, and it's like a cylindrical thing, and you're holding onto like a little like handle part.
While they.
Yeah, and we were going so slow. I was like this, and Stephen was behind me, and that's my experience of just like not tolerating. Like they tell us like this much for a taxi. I'm like no,
why didn't they go quicker?
Because the motor was fucking shit.
Ah.
The motor was incredibly tiny, and they did it for like 2 minutes. It was a combination of the fact that it was a shit motor, and that and that's why Stephen was like, "There's nothing wrong if you want to give that to people, but don't advertise it that it's a banana boat experience that's supposed to be 15 minutes."
Yeah.
Granted, after that we got on some jet skis. The jet skis were fun.
Nice.
And then we did parasailing. First time doing that. That was cool. And then towards the afternoon, after we tried the coffee or the luwak, and then did the fire dance, then we got a beach dinner, and like it was really cool. Like imagine a beach, like imagine going to the Gold Coast Surfers Paradise, and imagine like there being like rows and rows like across the whole beach of like tables. We've got romantic tables. There was like a mariachi band playing like for the couple behind us. Yeah. And the waves are crashing on the beach as kids playing.
That's nice.
It was really vibey. And so like for $170 for that whole experience was quite worth it, because it was like you'd be paying $20 at least for the food each.
And you paid for that before you got there?
Yeah, I used TripAdvisor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they sponsoring this video?
Maybe in the future, but no, not right now.
So does TripAdvisor? I've never actually used TripAdvisor. Does it just give you like all the events and stuff? And
it gives you, you look for restaurants, hotels, activities, events, like everything and anything. But you're gonna find shit in there too. That's why I was very much looking at reviews of things and everything like that.
So what was like the best thing you did while in Bali?
Oh, that's tough to say, man. Like things had different experience. Like
What was the most memorable? Like first thing that came in your mind just then?
Getting pulled into a traditional Balinese dance. And literally, like, they put, like, no offense, but they put the Aboriginals to shame. Like they're dancing.
Like in how traditional they are? Or?
No, like they had masks that were scary. I've never seen women stare so intensely and almost be in a trance. Like they're moving their hands, and this chick's like fingers are like vibrating, and she's like possessed. Yeah. You know, and like they had like this like guy, like there was like they got this white monkey, you know, and these are all traditional Hindu gods and whatnot, and he's like they like almost become like acrobat cheerleaders and.
That sounds really cool. And so, what did you do? Like when they pulled you in?
When they pulled me in, it was coming to the end of like the whole dance, and he was doing his movements, and I was like looking into his eyes, and we're like both doing his movements, and then he shook my hand, and then like I turned around, and there was another guy, and he was doing it. He was like a lot more like erratic, and I started copying him. Yeah. And each time I like stepped up, how much I was like getting into it, like the crowd was like you know, and Steven's recording, and he's like giggling, you know, as he's recording it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. That's the first thing that came up to my mind, but like, you know, I was pretty grateful to be able to say that I rid dirt bikes in the middle of a crater of a volcano.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Like black sands and like just crazy shit. I got photos and videos of it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
You know, and that's like a completely different experience. You know, I've never seen monkeys before, and I got to have a monkey sit on my lap. I never thought I would have smelled monkey BO. like when you think of monkeys, you think of these beautiful things. You know, obviously a little bit, you know, feisty or whatever, but it's a bit odd when they smell like human sweat. Yeah. And it makes you realise, like, damn, like we are just monkeys.
Did they like try and steal your stuff?
Not mine. Okay. But when we were at the same temple that I watched the dance at, I saw a monkey steal someone's phone from their hands. And I also see that they love to steal glasses, and they then try and put the glasses on because they see all these other humans wearing these glasses, and they're like, so they know what to do. Yeah. So it's incredibly cute to see a monkey like themselves put on the glasses and start looking around. But
is it easy to get it back though, or they're just mucking around?
Well, that's the thing. They have learned, I think, to steal people's phones because they know that the like local people that are running the temple or whatever it is, that this happens consistently, and these monkeys know that if I steal the phone, this guy's going to come and try and exchange food for the phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. And
so you have to like bargain with the monkeys.
Yeah, you bargain with the monkeys because they're smart enough to realize that you need to give them food in order if you want your phone to get given back, and they quickly steal, and they love it. You know, they're not dumb. They're having a laugh with their mates when they steal someone's phone.
Do they laugh? Do the monkeys?
Oh
laugh?
Yeah, they laugh. They show you your teeth if they're not happy.
Yeah.
Like my dad said that when he went, the monkey like literally like because they're very skeptical of humans. Like they don't want to, you know, have anything happen to them.
Yeah.
So apparently dad had food in his hand, and the monkey was just staring into his eyes the whole time. It was just like prying open his fingers and not leaving eye contact with his, like, you know, and then took the food out. Like I've heard other stories where to get the food from you straight away, instead of going right for the food, they grab your arm and just squeeze onto your arm as hard as they can because they know they're just going to drop the food because obviously it's just a human reaction.
Yeah.
And so
smart little shit.
Yeah, man. So 5 days in Seminyak, first place. We then did our arduous journey on our scooters with all of our like gear, which was, you know, in like there's the only road rules in Bali is common sense. Okay. And it works very well. Like we didn't see any crashes, and you know, you'd be shocked.
I heard it's the same in Vietnam.
Yeah. Like you'd be shocked that, you know, there's very little scratches on cars. Yeah. Like it works well. People, you know, obviously there are times where it seems sketchy and you can do sketchy things, but it seems like it works out for everyone there. But yeah, it took us about an hour and a bit scooter ride to Ubud, and saw our first monkeys there. Went to a monkey forest. A lot of like boutiques of jewelry and clothes. Like, man, I got 3 fake Calvin Klein shirts that like authentic. I got you know.
And how much were the shirts?
$5 each. Nice. And they were good fabric.
And they look the same.
They looked exactly the same. So cool. Bro, they had Nike bags.
Have you washed them yet? Because I got them from Hong Kong. When you wash them, sometimes they shrink. So just have a look when you wash them.
Look out for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get an extra large.
Yeah.
And then shrink it down to a medium.
Yeah, it was a little bit skin tight already, so.
Oh, okay.
Might turn.
We'll see.
Yeah, might have to give it to my brother or something. But
And what was the food like?
Oh, great.
Yeah. Like what type of foods is it? Is it a lot of meat? Is it a lot of salads? Like
they have, like everywhere has a lot of Western food.
Yeah.
Pork ribs, pizzas, burgers.
Also, have pizzas and stuff.
Oh, they have everything.
Yeah, right.
They have everything a tourist would want. I got sick of burgers at one point because a lot of places were selling burgers, and and it was like, I don't want burgers because I had so many burgers already. And
Yeah.
I was a little bit skeptical of the local food just because it's like, I do like Asian food, but I didn't really like their food. Like, they had
Really?
satay, like satay chicken and
Yeah,
and
I like
stuff.
satay.
Yeah, but their satay spices
It's a bit different.
well, the place we stayed at in Ubud, there was a warung, which is like the name for like local restaurant-y things, like for the anyway. And the smell was so pungent and it made me sick, man. Like I almost threw up, yeah, because the smell of it. And like other people were loving it. But for me, I just did not vibe with it.
It's just a bit different to what you're used to.
Yeah, to the point that my nose was sensitive to that smell, to the point where I gagged at one point. And it seemed like it was one certain smell that they must have had something come out of the oven or something that it was at one point that my nose just did not like.
I have that with like bay leaves.
Really?
Like, yeah, like I think it's bay leaves anyway. There's something, it's sometimes in like Asian or Thai food, it'll be in there. I'm like, oh, I just hate it. But yeah, so it might have been like that, but even worse it sounds like.
True.
Where you just smell it. Because I'll smell it and it'll be fine. It's only if I taste it.
Right.
It must have been that bad that you smelled it.
Bay leaves smell good to me. Like,
I think it was bay leaves. It might be something else.
Right. Yeah, so what else happened? So in Ubud, we then stayed there for 5 days. I climbed so the day that I climbed the volcano was the same day I then rid motorbikes in the crater of the volcano. It was a pretty intense day, and a little bit upsetting that I didn't climb it with Steven, because we woke up at like 2 a.m. because in order to see the sunrise, you've got to get up early and you've got to get there and whatnot. And I woke up at like 2 a.m. and Steven's like, oh, I'm not feeling well. And so I ended up...
Bitched it.
Bro, I ended up getting on my scooter at like 2:30 in the morning. And like I used like a running band for your phone as my like way to GPS, because I was hoping that we'd get a scooter that had like a phone holder, but it didn't. Yeah. And luckily, my intention was to like do some morning runs when everything was still dead quiet, because I feel like that would have been really vibey. Didn't do a single run, but ended up using the thing. Like it's like foggy as shit. Early in the morning, I'm cold as fuck. It's like starting to rain as well.
On your own.
On my own. And it's like an hour and a half journey, and I'm like, skeptical of whether I'm following the right route.
And you're sleep deprived, probably.
Yeah, sleep deprived. I didn't know whether my internet was going to cut out and whatnot, so there's like so many what ifs. True. And finally get to the bottom of the mountain, and the one time that I got conned in Bali was then, where I had like a group of 50 Indonesian men all saying, must pay for guide, must pay, no climb mountain, we get police is over there, blah blah blah. They made me pay $50 just to have a guide take me up this volcano mountain, which I did not need at all, because it was very clear how to get up. Yeah. And I'm not an incompetent person like maybe other people are.
But see, the police is scary.
Yeah,
like, you don't know if they're telling the truth.
Yeah, or not. And they weren't. And
but if they were,
and
exactly. You go up on your own, like you're in a different country.
Yeah, well that's the thing. As I was going up, well actually when we got to the top, I did some more research, because I was like, I didn't believe them, because I knew I'd done my research. And I looked it up, and I was like, it keeps saying you don't need them, whatever.
There's 50 of them though.
Yeah, man, you have 50, and it's like pitch, it's like dark as well. Yeah. And so I ended up, I got up to the top, and when I found out that he was in fact lying to me, he was lying through his teeth like so much. This guy. Yeah. I had an argument with him, like almost for the whole way down. I was like, bro, I ended up giving him a tip, not because I wanted to give him a tip. He's like, tip for me? I was like, yeah, but I want you to understand I'm giving you the tip because you're making me lose trust in all the other people that live in Bali. And I was like, don't force people. I was like, if people want to pay for the guide and whatnot, and obviously he's like, you can say whatever you want to me, blah, 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 blah. It's all good. Call me stupid, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I'm not trying to say that, man.
Yeah, it's just different because they probably grew up with that as well, and like that's how they make a lot of their money and how they live. And
well, like tourism there's only started blowing up recently. Like it's only going to get much better, I reckon. Because it's like 20 years ago, it was not the same as what it is now.
And that stuff will get found out eventually. Like,
what do you mean? Well, it's
I mean, common. Like people like that guy lying to you about
but that's common knowledge.
But as more people go and do that and realize that it's fake,
they
won't trick as many people because they'll know about it.
So climbed up this mountain, beautiful. Like when I got to the top, and then climbed down, then met up with the group that organised the motorbike ride.
Oh yeah.
First time riding dirt bikes, but I was like sending it, man. Like the rate of learning for me was quite exponential. It got to the point where I was like, we went through the jungle as well, and I'm like going up jumps that are like not jumps but like drops, but I'm going up it, you know. And Steven got to the point where he's like, I can't do this. He's like, I gotta turn back, blah 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 blah, because it was getting pretty intense. And this guy said it was easy. It was not easy.
Did it help that you've drove a motorbike though? Because like if I went and did that, you reckon I would have been able to do it?
No,
because I've never ridden a motorbike.
Yeah, no. And that helped. You know, it helped us knowing how to ride motorbikes, going with our scooters. Like there were not as many not as many tourists that looked like what we were on our scooters. You know, we're very confident, very on the ball. We looked like a local in the sense that you see these locals on the scooter and they've got like, you know, they've probably got bags. It looks like, how the fuck are they even staying on this thing? Because it looks like they've got a mountain on the back of their scooter and they're still able to ride. We only had our hiking backpack. I had a backpack on my front. I had a straw hat connected to me. I had, you know, in the end I ended up having my katana. I ended up buying a katana.
Yeah, I saw that on
And so after Ubud, we then drove to a ferry that then took us to Nusa Penida.
A ferry or a ferry?
A boat.
Oh, okay.
Not an actual ferry. And then Nusa Penida was beautiful. It has the best place I've ever seen in my whole life, which is Kalinking Beach, which has the infamous cliff that looks like a dinosaur, T-Rex. And got to see temple inside caves, and that was the same place I did the stupidest thing I did the whole trip, which was saw in Google Maps that it said there's this cliff jump spot. Look at the reviews, and the reviews are like, the path is really unclear, our guide took us through the bush and it's so unsafe, this and that, blah blah blah. And I started going down the path, and then the path disappeared, and then I'm like using my phone, had data, and I'm like, alright, well, it says it's this way. So I started like literally walking through the Balinese bush, man. I ended up cutting myself up. Bro, my legs, because I was like walking through the bush, man. And as I get deeper or closer to the cliff that I was supposed to be jumping off, I started hear like whack. I'm like, what the fuck? Like it's just me in this bush.
Yeah.
Steven's like, I'm not coming, because it was just really sketch. And he like whack, and I get closer to it, and I see this man, this old man smoking a cigarette, shirtless, a local person, just whacking bushes with a machete. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? He's just in the middle of nowhere, whacking bushes. And I say, cliff jump, and I give a motion of jumping, and he goes, just point this way, and I look, and it's just bush that way. I'm like, thank you, whatever. And then I kick on through the bush, finally get to this through the bush. I've got a lot of adrenaline because it's 15 minutes of me walking through the bush, being lost.
Yeah.
I started leaving a trail behind me.
Yeah, to find your way back.
To find my way back and whatnot. And I see this cliff jump, and I can see the most beautiful reefs through the water, to the point where it's I couldn't tell if it was deep enough. So, and I look down and I can see this ladder, sketchy as fuck ladder. It was a rope ladder. It wasn't one. It was kind of as I came up it, you'd be almost upside down. And you need a lot of upper body strength and whatnot. Yeah. And I did this cliff jump, and you can see in the video of the cliff jump, you can see the current that's sweeping through. And so as soon as I landed in the water, it was survival instinct up. I swim up, hope, I was praying that I wasn't going to hit the bottom, because you could see this reef, but because the water's so beautiful and clear there, you can't tell if it's 2 meters deep or 10 meters deep.
True.
And did that, and amazing experience. Very stupid and crazy.
Why was it stupid though? Because you didn't know.
I was walking through the middle of the bush.
Yeah.
In a way that I didn't know. I jumped off a cliff that I didn't know I'd be able to get back up. There was a sweeping current that would have taken me out to sea.
So how did you beat the current and get back up?
Well, you can see in the video the current sweeping, but I was close enough to this cliff still that it was I wasn't in the current.
Okay.
But I knew that if I had stayed there for any amount of time, that my chances of getting back to this ladder were low. So I ended up just getting back to the ladder, heart's pumping, get up, and then The first time I did it, I jumped as low as I could from where the ladder started, which is about a 7-meter jump. Like one of the higher jumps I've done. I've done like up to 10 meters. And I tried to make sure, because that way I could, like, if I was going to hit the bottom, it wasn't going to be as bad as when I actually jumped from the little platform. And the platform I jumped from was literally like a couple of like wooden beams with like some like plywood, you know. It's like rickety, it's like bending as I'm on it, and it's like, you know, if I fall, I'd eat shit right there and then. I did it though, and then I made my way back. I got lost on the way back through the bush.
Yeah, did you see the guy again?
No, I didn't. But I literally just had to like point my phone, and it's like, okay, well, I've got to go this way. And I'm like walking through the bush and whatnot. So yeah, did that in Nusa Penida, and then after that, we then go back to the mainland, catch a boat to Gili T, which is like this little island, three little islands. And no cars on this island, only horse and carriage and bicycles. So everyone's just like, you know, riding their bicycles to get to wherever they're going. And that was the first time that we realized that people do drugs in Bali, because like me and Steven were like, no chance.
You'll die.
Yeah, you get put to the death sentence. But it's like it got nighttime on our first night. We're there for 3 nights, and we walked down like the main strip, like along the beach, and like this had, you know, rows of restaurants and beachside, you know, catering services and whatnot. And this guy's like, he's like we're like walking, he goes, mushrooms? And we're like, no thank you. And we're like, damn, that was our first experience of like someone asking us for drugs. Go about 15 meters further, someone else is like, MDMA, cocaine. we're like that's odd again.
Like offering you some.
Yeah, like, and you know, and then we're like, no thank you, you know, keep walking, and then I see a sign of a mushroom on a tree, and I'm like, oh, this is odd. Another 10 meters, and I see a stall that has a mushroom, and it was like, all natural, good for you. I'm like, man, what's going on? And then I look across the road and I see this guy, and he's, you know, looks Australian as fuck, got a mullet, you know, got the beard. I go up to him and I'm like, hey man, are you Australian? You speak English? Which is like something you have to do, because there's so many like foreigners. I met so many amazing like countries. I met Danish people, Germans, English. Right. He's like, yeah man. I'm like, oh sweet. I was like, dude, what's this about all the people like offering drugs? And he's like, oh yeah, like it's normal here apparently. I'm like, really? Like, I thought like drugs, you know, were like the death sentence, like what? Yeah, everyone's taking this risk here, blah blah blah. He's like, yeah. And I was like, well, have you tried it? He's like, yeah, I had mushrooms earlier today. They were fucking great. And I was like, right, okay. And then we keep walking, and then some guy's like, cocaine. I'm like, how much? You know, out of curiosity. And we kind of just started talking to some of them and whatnot. And they're going to offer us free cocaine, because I was like, no, blah, blah, blah.
Because then you get hooked on it and then you pay for more. They were thinking.
No, not that. More so, I just didn't trust the fact that they were selling us actual cocaine.
No, but why would they want to give it to you for free though?
Because they probably were paying little enough for it. Because it wasn't that I didn't want it. Look, I'm not going to keep going further with where this story goes.
Yeah.
But, because just to see that it was legitimate stuff. Like, you'd be more inclined to buy from someone that you actually know what they've got is real. True. There was a person before that was like, MDMA. I was like, oh, let's have a look, out of curiosity. And he shows us this like white crystal-y powder. And I'm like, that doesn't look like MDMA. Like, MDMA is not white. It's usually got some brown colour, some purple. It's usually never white. He's like, oh, it's crystal meth. Yeah. I'm like, oh, so you think that's going to make me actually buy from you now? Like, and it's like, he probably could have been telling the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, so that's why, like, you know, if you want to stick safe, you get mushrooms, you know, because at least you can see, oh, this is an actual mushroom.
Some mushrooms are poisonous though.
Yeah, but well, that's the thing. So as the night went on, we started talking to more people, and then I was like, so, like, are there police on this island? Like, what's the go? Like, why is this allowed? And they're like, well, there's no really police on this island, and you know, and the locals do right by the tourists, and, you know, as long as there's a good, you know, interaction, you know, no one's getting hurt, you know, no one's getting stuffed over, it's kind of like they just allow it to happen. And as long as, you know, things stay, you know, positive all around, there's not really a whole, you know, problem with it. I'm like, okay, you know, it makes sense. And that's how, like, you know, if you're going to have drugs in an area, that's how it should be.
Yeah. Just kind of regulated by the locals and by the
tourists. Yeah. And, you know, as long as they do right by you know, us, and we do right by them, it kind of stays all right. So Gili T, great reefs, great sunsets. And yeah, after Gilly T, that was the finishing of the second half of the trip. Then finished our trip in Jimbaran, which is like in the southern area near Uluwatu, which is where I did that day package with the water sports and the dance and everything like that. And by then, me and Stephen were quite, tired, and we did plan it.
So what point did you start to be like, all right, we've had enough, or like we're content now? Was that like
Gilly
close to
T,
the end?
Yeah, we got to halfway through.
So like, what's that? 11 days in or something?
Yeah, like 11 to 13 days in. We were like, man, this is great, but we're definitely like ready to go home. And I think it was also because we're doing a lot of traveling. Like we were doing more than what most people do. Like when people said like, oh, how long are you in Bali for? We're like 3 weeks. Like, oh wow, really? And when we told them everywhere we went, they're like, oh wow, because like
it was like non-stop.
Yeah.
I'm the same when I go traveling. I like to just make the most of it. Just do everything I can.
Yeah, well that's it. I wanted to be able to go there and feel like as if I had done enough that I didn't feel the need to come back. But since going now, I feel like I will go back because it's really
come in August, mate.
It's a really good place for couples because like me and Stephen, we lived like kings in the sense that we got our own rooms, our own beds, and it was still cheap enough for us to enjoy our holiday. But if you went with your missus, not only you only paying for the one room, but you also like chipping in together. So you can
splitting stuff.
Yeah. So definitely, I'd go back again. Probably not as long. I do, and now that I've done that stuff, I might do the stuff I haven't done. And
you mentioned that like you kind of used it as an experience. Like it wasn't necessarily like a holiday or a break from the grind and from work, but it was kind of like you used it for it in a sense.
Yeah. No. So like I did it, and in the way that I did it, I was keen and eager to get back to my grind, get back to the things I wasn't attending to at home. There were things that I know I wanted to get back to, and so that's why I felt like a holiday experience should be done in a way that it allows you to feel like you want to come back to.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people go on holidays and come back feeling like, I wish we were back there, and everything like that. But it wasn't the case for me.
You just got everything done that you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. And so, after we did Jimbaran, flight home, fucking agonizing trip home because it's like, so close yet so far.
Why? So how long's the actual flight?
From Brisbane, it was only 6 hours on the way there.
Not too bad.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, compared to like Europeans that were coming, they spent like 20 hours.
Yeah.
And like for us, we're like, man, why would you spend 20 hours on a like expensive flight to come to Bali? Whereas for us, it's like a cheap experience.
Yeah.
But they're trying to get away from Europe, whereas we see Europe as like, that's where we got to go. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that was the trip.
It is good when you come back though, because then you're like just ready to. Because we had the same thing with the cruise. By night 8, we were like ready to come back. I was ready to work. Yeah. I could have even started working like day 6 or 7, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I've only been back for like 3 days, and I'm already back into my routine. It feels like my good grind. Whereas when I finished my the project for my mining in Moranbah, it took me like 2 weeks of like not waking up right, eating junk food, not doing it, like not going to the gym, all that kind of stuff before I was like, oh man, I need to fucking get back into it.
Yeah.
And like I think going to a third world country was so good in the sense that it gave me a lot of gratitude for what I do have.
Yeah, definitely.
And even just talking to the locals about how much money they're making, like for them, $5 like a day is enough. And so like almost started crying at one point because I walked past a woman just like on the side of the street with her baby, in her arms, kind of like begging for money.
Yeah.
I hadn't really experienced that too much until then, and it was maybe it just makes me grateful, and that's why I think everyone should be able should go to a third world country so that they can at least see how other people really live, because at least then that way you might be a bit more grateful for the kind of place you live in.
Yeah. I agree.
And speaking to other people in different positions, it's only going to grow your social and emotional intelligence, and interacting with other people that isn't like yourself. You make great experiences seeing how people can be so joyous and so happy, in the kind of situations they're in. But on the same side, we saw people that I could tell they resented the fact that they were serving. Like I had men that were twice my age serving me food. You can see that they hate with inside. You can feel the internal kind of resentment for the fact that there are people that come here that get to enjoy their holiday, and, you know,
and they're being paid pennies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Did it create like a bit of an awkwardness? Is there like serving you like this?
Yeah, I felt awkward because I realised it. I'm sure other people wouldn't pick up on the fact that these people have their own insecurities, you know. Yeah. Because they don't really realise that how lucky they are to, you know, have that kind of privilege to be born in a certain place. And that's why I think I urge people to actually go to places that you wouldn't want to go to, because it's just going to make you grateful. Yeah.
I definitely think the more you travel, the more you do gain that gratitude. Yeah. Like when we went to Port Villa, that was probably the most least socio-economical place. Yeah. And it was just you know, you could see the schools were half built and kids playing barefoot in the mud and just stuff like that. Or, you know, even just the, you know, looking skinny as well, they're underfed almost. Yeah. It's kind of shit. When we went to Mystery Island as well, that is literally just an island. So people are living in tents. Yeah. It's fuck, if you're born there, how are you getting out of that? Literally all they make their money from is the tourists. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe they get a boat back or something during winter and stuff, I don't know.
Well, that's the other thing too, man. It's I see the appeal of, and Andrew Tate talked about this, and he was if I can't become all-powerful and rich and get away from the rat race, I would rather grow my crops, disconnect from the 9 to 5 work, you know, grow your own food, have your family, live in the Alps, live in the bush, and that way you can at least have some sort of meaningful existence instead of working every day of your life for an existence that you're not happy with. It's either all or nothing. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, my dad's partner, she comes from a remote island off Papua New Guinea that no one knows of. Yeah. And you know, she's a beautiful soul, but, you know, living on the island she has, her academic ability, you know, is not the same. And, you know, she wanted to see what the world had to offer and tried her very hardest, and, you know, at age 20, and over there it's almost frowned upon for you to leave, because it's kind of you're seeking better for yourself, and you're going out into that, you know, to that open world where people are, you know, and they have this tribalism mentality that people that, you know, wear clothes are these you know, bad people in a sense. Yeah. You know, because she literally lived in those kind of areas where, you know, chicks had their tits hanging out and that was just normal, you know. Yeah.
It's almost weird to cover it up.
Yeah, exactly. And getting back to traveling and kind of being grateful because you're actually able to experience how other people live and different ways of living. There's a huge misconception that it's I don't want to make lots of money because I want to make lots of money. I want to make the money so that it allows me to then have the emotional intelligence that I would get from actually traveling to all these places in the world. You know, it's it's not the money that's the value, it's what the money's able to bring that actually grows my own happiness, my own contentness, and my own need to serve others.
Yeah, what it allows you to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was the Bali trip.
Sounds fun.
I heard that you've had a good month.
Yeah, I had a good month while you were away, just fucking grinding, but... Yeah? Yeah, I've had probably my best month in sales, but that's it. I made a Facebook post about this. It's not even that I'm selling at the best quality. My sales calls aren't amazing at the moment. Yeah, they're just kind of decent. Yeah. But because I'm on a good offer, where there's a bunch of leads, commission's good, I'm doing well. But I'm actually about to start a door-to-door solar job as well.
Oh, really?
That I haven't told you about, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to be starting that on... I mean, I've done the onboarding for the last week, and then next week is kind of final steps, and I'll probably start knocking next week. So that's going to be interesting. The main reason I'm doing that is I can only work a certain amount of hours with the US role. I can get up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. if I want, but I just don't want to do that. I'd rather do that from 6 or 7, and then past 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it's you know, too late over there. It's really late. It's 9, 10 o'clock. Yeah. And most of the people, if they do book in, they no show or they cancel because it's so late. So in that time, what I'm going to do is do the residential door-to-door. So from 3:30 till 6, just door knocking.
In the Arvo?
Yeah, selling solar Monday to Friday and
what about in the morning?
In the mornings, I'll just do my US job.
Right. So the US job's best for the morning.
Yeah. Because for them, it's afternoons, which is peak hours actually, because it's after work. Yeah. They're at home. They're settled in. So I'll take the calls from like 6, 7 a.m. our time to like 2 o'clock. Do some exercise. Go to the gym. Come back. Shower, eat, and then from like 3:30 till 6 do the door to door.
Yeah, right.
I'm doing that for two reasons. Like one, there's a lot of income potential there. Like there's reps making like 50, 60 grand a month.
Really?
Selling door to door. Yeah.
What's Aaron doing wrong then?
Well, I think it's just the offer.
Yeah.
And plus, we'll see when we get in what it's actually like. But
yeah.
I imagine that they're not lead generating. Like they're not knocking on the doors now. They're at the point where they've got someone else knocking on the doors, and then they're just sitting appointments.
Yeah.
But I mean, each sale that you get for residential is about $3,000. So it's probably not the easiest to get that sale.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting appointments, and these guys are closing at like 70, 80% of the appointments they sit. If you sit 4 or 5 a day, like you can see where it's made.
Well, I hope it works out well.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I think worst case, I do it for a few months, get told to fuck off a bunch, and then my no muscle gets built.
Yeah.
Just that rejection muscle of,
yeah.
Hey, we're here. Nah, not interested.
Yeah.
Nah, not interested. And then keep going after that as well.
You try doing fucking shopping centre sales. Because
Yeah,
these people actually have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
At least if you knock on
That's brutal.
Yeah, dude, I did that for Healthy Harold.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, man. I was promoting Healthy Harold. And you just try and catch their attention. You'd be like, "Hey, lovely," it's the oldest woman you've ever seen,
Yeah.
And you just start up a conversation, and then, it was rough, but good experience.
Well, because they're already doing something else, and you're trying to break their cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta, it's you definitely have to catch her in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You literally open with nothing relating to Healthy Harold.
Yeah, you have to break. It's a pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time in sales calls as well, especially if you're doing a longer presentation, or not even sales calls, even just in general when you're speaking or speaking publicly, you might notice every now and then people will be like, all right. And then you get their attention. So that's a pattern interrupt. Because every 10 seconds or so, our mind gets lost and we constantly bring it back. Yeah. But eventually people will just kind of get lost as you're talking, not really pay attention. Yeah. But then when you have that pattern interrupt, or a chair moves, or you clap, or there's some noise.
Well, hey, those are amazing shoes. Where'd you get them from?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that makes sense that you used to do that, to grab their attention first, and then you talk about healthy
you try and make something that people would like to talk about too. It's you look like you're a Healthy Harold man. It's I think I know you from somewhere. You do all these things that people would actually then go oh, he thinks you know me from somewhere? I'm a bit interested now.
Yeah. That's funny. I like walking past those guys. I have admiration for them.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that for? I never knew you did that.
I did that for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I stopped because the business I worked for was dodgy. Yeah, dodgy business.
Careful, you might get a what's it called? What's it called when you talk crap about something?
Let's see, defamation.
Yeah, defamation. That's it.
Yeah. And it was funny because my boss. So I was with Healthy Harold, and then I think it was a bit after COVID, and then we got taken off doing the Healthy Harold shopping centres, and we did some phone sales for RSL.
Oh yeah.
And I was not enjoying it and whatnot, and I was in when the first day, because it was already things that were making me unhappy. It was unprofessional pay for my hours, making me pay for parking in the city when I didn't want to pay for parking in the city.
Yeah, that's with every job in the city. Unless you have a really good role, you usually pay parking.
Yeah.
Because I had that at when I used to work in the Valley. I mean, I found a little legal spot that I used to park in, but other than that, that's one bad thing.
And I went up to my boss and I was like, hey, I forget his name. I was like, hey, blah, blah. And he's like, I'll stop you right there. No, sorry, I said, I'm sorry, I'm gonna quit. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it, I was gonna do that anyway. Yeah, dude. In that moment, I'm like, oh my god, are you that insecure? Are you that
he has to?
He had to get the last kind of, and I was like, oh, thank you for your time. I was being respectful. The same guy, he ended up going to the same gym. So Club Lime in East Brisbane. When I started training there, I saw him there. Never spoke a word to him, but we make eye contact, and it got to the point that it was respectful enough of each other. We just nod.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my sales job there.
Yeah, that's funny. And so you hated it, it sounds like. Selling Telstra's, right? It was Telstra you were with, wasn't it?
No, I've sold for Telstra.
Oh.
I've sold Healthy Harold and RSL.
Fuck, you did way more sales than I thought you did.
Yeah, I've tried to explain that to you and Aaron, and
I think we just dismiss it because we're like, oh yeah, Telstra sales, it's not the same.
Yeah, dude, I was selling I was getting massive clients. I was decking out businesses with all their needs. 5 laptops, phones, internet plans, what kind of, how much, data do you need to be using?
Yeah.
Do you need a landline, do you need a business phone? We can get you, this business phone.
And did you get commissioned?
Yeah, it was commissioned too.
That's good.
Man, when you hook someone up with an internet, that was good commission. So they went by TSV, which is total sales value.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's because people are very likely to get an internet and stay with an internet for a long time. Yeah. Internet usually costs quite a bit, and to hook them up.
So the total value of it's
higher
than something else.
But Telstra was very not dodged, but it was it wasn't a professional place. People were sleeping with people. Drugs would go around. I literally won't continue that story either. But yeah, anyway. Something I wanted to talk about on today's podcast was the concept of finding your Dharma.
Yeah. So what's Dharma, first of all?
So Dharma is this Buddhist concept within Buddhist religion that is when your passion, what you're good at, and what is of service to others intersects. And that we can find the most content from life when we are able to have these three things simultaneously working together in what it is we're doing. We can become more happy, we can continue to go on a continuously growing path when we're able to find something that leads to this concept of Dharma. And so, when a chef makes food for someone and doesn't just make the food because it's their job, but has the intention of making a good meal for someone who's hungry, that and trying to give that service to someone, knowing that you're making a good impact on them, and finding reward from your job because of that person has found their Dharma. In the same way that a tradesperson is good at their job, enjoys their job, but has found the intention behind the motivation to do the job, that when they're banging in those nails, when they're measuring out that piece of wood, that they're trying to make a strong house for the person and the family that's going to live inside that house, and making that house, serve
There's
well.
There's intent behind it.
But being of service to humans. And so, urging people to find what their Dharma is.
So how do you find it?
Well, it's about finding what you're good at, finding what you're passionate about, and finding a way to make it of service to others. And you can find that in, a lot of things that you do. The chef, for example, the tradesperson. Because a lot of people who are tradespeople, they don't go to their job thinking, oh, I'm doing this for someone. They don't think about who's going to live in it. They think, oh, well, I'm good at trade and I need to make money, because if I don't make money, and so they just have completely disconnected from actually being of service to humans.
So finding your Dharma doesn't necessarily have to be finding something new. It could be something you're already doing and just realizing it within that.
Yeah. And sometimes you do need to search for it. And they talk, within the book by Jay Shetty called Think Like a Monk. Yeah. There's 4 quadrants. There's what you're passionate about but not good at. There's what you're passionate about and good at. There's what you're not good at but passionate about. And then there's not good at and not passionate about. And so it's you want to be in that quadrant too, where you're good at it and you're passionate about it, because you can sustain that for a very long time. You can make that your whole life. If you're passionate about it and you're good at it, money and happiness will follow that. Money and happiness will not follow the thing that you're not good at. And so when you're good at something, when you're passionate about something and you may not be good about it, that can be your hobby. People can be into something that they're not necessarily good at, but they enjoy and get satisfaction from. And I just think that a lot of people, kind of need to search what their Dharma is and think about, if they're not in a position that they're happy with and they're not in a job that they're happy with, finding a way to see it as being of service to other people and how you can make it a duty for others, you can make it a lot more tolerable. Why do you think it makes it more tolerable? Do you just think that's something in humans that we like to be in service of others? So there's 4 core principles of human motivation according to the Buddhists, and there's acting motivation through fear, So you can be motivated by fear that you need to make money so that you're not homeless. You maybe want to, because you're insecure and you want people to like you. You can then be motivated through desire. So materialistic possessions. So
those are the only two I know, by the way. So I'm curious to see the other two, because I talk about this in my calls, especially with fitness. It's like what you're running away from: diabetes, cancer, not being there for kids.
That's the fear.
Fear. What you're running towards: beach body, look good.
That's desire.
So what are the other two?
And so these are the intrinsically less pure, and to be able to be motivated by duty and love is the kind of attainment that the Buddhists look for.
Duty and love.
Yeah.
So duty as in like a responsibility to others?
Yeah, duty and responsibility to others, exactly. And then the other being love. So it's like you might be motivated by the love of your passion. You might be motivated by the love of your partner or your children.
Yeah.
And that's why duty and love is very intertwined too, because it's a duty to look after your children.
Exactly.
But it's also a love too. And they've found that the people that are most happy, the people that are clinically studied, the people that are happiest are the people that have found their motivation through the duty and love.
I was something on that. Like I'm curious on your thoughts. I saw a clip of him on Guardsy, and he like just built these schools and like doing all this amazing stuff. And someone asked him like, "Are you happy?" And I don't know if you've seen that, but he kind of gets almost like, he says it's a stupid question to ask if he's happy, because it's like, do you ask the soldier who's protecting his country and doing all these amazing things, are you happy? It's like, well, it doesn't matter if I'm fucking happy. It matters that I'm protecting all these people.
Yeah.
Or for him, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if I'm fucking happy.
Yeah.
My mum's looked after. These kids are getting their education. So when you say that those people are the most happy, what do you think about? Do you think it's like the same? It's not different things? Like he's happy in a sense because he has that duty and that responsibility to look after others.
Yeah, I guess I should reframe the word happiness, because happiness can also be having meaning, having purpose, feeling content. You know, when you're content, you're not constantly bouncing around happy, but you feel comfortable in where you are and who you are and what you're doing.
Peace almost.
Yeah, and so, a soldier that protects their country, it might be a bit out of fear. In the moment, it might be, I need to not get killed. But it's also out of duty. Duty for your country. Duty for the protection of others. And that's why so many people can put themselves through those kind of hardships and come out on the other side and know their why.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a good guide to have, I think. Because you look at it, you could look at that for anything you're doing. Like, it doesn't have to be one thing or just your career. Like, I'm thinking even about living a healthy lifestyle, right? Or fitness.
Yeah.
You've got the fear and the goals, which is what we spoke about. Like, goal, beach body, fear, being fat. But then the duty is like, well, you have a duty to yourself almost.
Yeah, to look after your own body.
Yeah, given the fact that you have all these resources available to you.
Yeah.
And a love for, it could be a love for your partner to be the best version of yourself. It could be a love for yourself. Even.
Yeah.
So,
and that's exactly why that the people that work out because they want to have a beach body, if you look at them throughout their lifespan, they don't really maintain that kind of integrity.
They don't have the other three.
Well, yeah, because it's like the people that are training for their health, that's out of duty for their health, not out of desire for their body to look a certain way. It's out of duty for themselves to, their body is their temple. And you look at the people that maintain fitness because they want to be fit, they end up maintaining that throughout their life.
And the people who struggle a lot with either insecurity of their weight, or they were fat or super skinny in the past and were really insecure about that. Once they get on the journey, they usually stick with it as well because they never want to get back to that point.
Yeah. And that's the
fear.
Yes. And that's why I think everyone should think about what motivates them and think, okay, well, this part of me is motivated by this part of me is motivated by that. And when I look at myself, I'm motivated by almost all four.
Yeah.
I have the desire for materialistic possessions and wealth.
Yeah.
I have insecurity of what others think about me. I have fear of going to a place that would make me not happy. I want to help people find their own success and their own well-being, and I want to find the best for others. That's the duty and love that I have for other people. And that's why, as much as the monks believe, you should be motivated by duty and love, and that's the attainment, that's the goal. I think for a realistic perspective is that having a healthy amount of all four is a good path. Having fear is normal. Having, desires is normal. These are all human things. And that's why the monks are this very, philosophically, religious type of aspect where it's like we detach from the normal human values. And it's like, I don't understand why people don't see, there's been studies on Buddhists, there's been studies on these other religions, and it's like these people are genuinely happy and content.
What other kind of philosophical things did you learn from that culture?
That the Buddhists strongly believe in personal growth, more in a way that is a lot more realistic than maybe the Christians.
The Western version, you mean, or
look, Christianity is the belief in Jesus Christ. You've got Hindus, which believe in hundreds of gods, but a lot of these gods, it's like, the god of destruction and the god of creation. It's very hard to then kind of have a representation that can imprint to humans. Whereas with Buddhists, they have actual things that relate to humans.
Okay.
Like everyone should have a purpose and a thing that fuels their happiness. You don't hear about that in the Hindu religion. There's
it's more through the gods that they have.
Yeah, it's like another one from the Buddhists is like a man that has his why can work out anyhow. If you have your why, you'll figure out how. And that why is, why am I doing this? If you believe what you're doing and what the goal you're trying to get to, you'll figure out how to get to that goal. And there's a lot of these philosophical things that the Buddhist religion teaches that a lot of the others don't. And that's why I connect strongly to the Buddhist religion.
I think they do teach them just in different ways.
Yes.
Like maybe in the Buddhist religion it's more relatable to humans.
Yes.
But definitely in the Bible there's stories that you can still grab meaning from and still have a message, but I think it's in different ways.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do with all the religions that I come across. Like while I was in Bali, obviously I was learning about a lot of these gods of creation, destruction, and I'm trying to think about, okay, well, you've got this god that's supposed to represent creation and destruction. And I guess the thought that I have is that, well, these are all natural things that occur in our life, and we have to accept that we're going to have destructive forces in our life that we're going to come across. We're going to have bad things happen. But we're also going to have a lot of creation. We're going to have, things that come to us that are new, that make us happy. And there's going to be birth of children. There's going to be death of loved ones. And so it's like, okay, so there's all these different gods. And, how can I find that human, representation? And that's why, like I said in one of my other previous videos, is that, you don't have to believe in religion, but you should definitely dissect from it what is useful for your own growth. Yeah. It's like no one should read the Bible and get pissed off with it because it's supposed to be the truth. Because they say the Bible is truth, this all happened. And when you read some stuff like this man got swallowed by a fish and he's lived in the fish for 3 days and they're like, oh, that's nonsense. It's like, okay, maybe it is nonsense, but there's a real moral message behind the story.
And there's a reason it's lasted thousands of years.
Exactly.
So despite all the changes that society's gone through, it's still relevant.
It's like they didn't have iPhones, they didn't have internet, they didn't have glasses, and it's like they had nothing that we had. Yeah. But what they're talking about back then is still relevant today. Yeah. There's some real importance in that.
Yeah. No, I agree. We've been going for about an hour. Yeah. You want to wrap it up?
We spoke through everything that I think we wanted to get through.
That's good.
Good conversation.
Cool.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Cheers.